Anthony Hanzo.
Hi, I'm Chef India Johnson. I'm private chef here in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm originally from Queens, New York. Made my way down south, and I've been cooking food here in the Atlanta area since about 2011. I'm one of those people that I'm always looking to see what other chefs are creating. My Instagram, I only follow really chefs. Instagram I use primarily as my portfolio, so I'm following chefs, chefs follow me. I'm always looking to see what other chefs are doing. And like I said, I don't really follow a lot of celebrity chefs, so when you're talking chefs from like Food Network and stuff like that, I'm like, oh, okay, I know who they are, but I'm really looking to see what the other chefs out there like me are doing, and I'm being inspired by them and trying to just kind of level up my own skills based off what other chefs are doing. So I'm truly inspired by the other chefs that are out here in this network doing what they do. I'm originally from New York, so growing up I ate everything. Asian cuisine is my favorite, so what I'm going to be demoing today is definitely going to be something with some Asian flair to it. My parents are from Trinidad, so Caribbean cuisine is top list of my list for me. I'm always eating curry chicken, oxtail, brown stew, whatever it is, I'm gonna eat it. I am married, by the way. Me and my husband, we travel between going to his family's house and my family's house for the holidays. And in general, sometimes I take it as a compliment, but then sometimes I'm like, come on, you guys. Like, they're like, oh, you're the chef, you cook, you know, you cook well, why would we cook? And I know that people really enjoy my food, so I will volunteer to cook for the holiday season mostly. But not all the time. Sometimes I'm like, I'm off. No, not today. My most coveted kitchen tool is definitely going to be my knives. Like, I don't go anywhere without my knives. I don't use anyone else's knives. My knives are coveted to me. I use certain knives, certain brand of knives. And I pick my knife just based off the weight, how it feels in my hand, the precision of the cut. So it is definitely one of my top tools in my kit when I'm cooking food. For me, cooking is a vibe. Like, I'm not like classically trained. You know, my dad is a chef. I have a lot of chefs in my family, but I didn't go to culinary school at all. When I was deciding to get into hospitality, I basically was working in hospitality myself at different restaurants, befriended a couple chefs, and as soon as I kind of got the right people around me to kind of see what I could do with food myself, it was like, do I need to go to culinary school? And I already have a degree, which I spent thousands of dollars for that I don't even do. But you know, it's like, do I want to pursue this education-wise? And I'm just like, I got a lot of no's. If you have the natural organic talent and you can prove yourself in this industry, in this business, and do events, then you should move forward and do that. So, you know, for me, it's just kind of like, it's an art form. I'm very just most so like, I do my thing. I don't do a lot of planning in advance. I like to make sure that the flavors are there, there's levels of texture, there's levels of color, and that when someone is really biting into something that I prepared for them, that can taste the love and the passion for what I put into it, as far as like what I feel food should look like and what it should taste like. So today, I am doing my version of tuna tataki, which is a seared yellowfin tuna, and I am going to pair that with a salad combination with cucumbers, crab, tomato. There's a little bit of flying fish roll, some seaweed salad, and I'm going to make that and also show you how you could easily plate something that fancy at home very easily.
Welcome to Chef Conversations in the Slick Greedy Kitchen. We're here with Chef India. Yes. What are you going to prepare for us today?
So today I'm going to do something very Asian inspired. Do you like Asian cuisine?
I do.
Okay, so as a New Yorker, as a child, I always had Asian food in my life. It was as simply as going to the corner, getting some shrimp fried rice. So just Asian cuisine is something that stuck with me for a really long time, and I felt like it's a good thing to showcase with you guys today. I'm going to do some seared tuna. Tuna salad basically, and I'm gonna walk through how to cook the tuna and then actually how to put the dish together.
Okay, perfect. That sounds excellent. We're getting fancy here in the Slick Greedy Kitchen. I'm going to leave you to it and let you prepare. I'll be patiently waiting over here
Well, I got
to taste it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we're gonna walk you guys through how to do a tuna tataki salad. I've got 2 bowls here and I've got my ingredients all in place ready for me to build this dish and walk you guys how to do that. The first thing we're going to do is we are going to marinate our tuna. And while we're doing that, we have a second bowl here where we're gonna make a miso vinaigrette, and we'll walk you guys how to make that yourselves at home. So right here we have some tuna. This is sushi grade tuna. I've already cut it into about 1 inch thickness. And so we're gonna add it to this bowl here. And then we're gonna add some love to this tuna so we can actually get some flavors going. So one of the things I'm gonna add first is some mirin. Mirin you can find at your local farmer's market, grocery stores even. It is basically just a rice wine cooking liquid that is very sweet. I do like to add a level of sweetness to my food, so I'm going to add some mirin to this tuna, and that's gonna soak that up, but that's not all. Also, because we like to get a little tipsy sometimes, I'm gonna add some nigori sake. Nigori sake is an unfiltered sake. Again, for flavor profile sake, we're gonna add a little bit of sake to mix with that mirin. This is actually also sweet, so I'm not gonna put as much in here as I did with the mirin. Mirin, I put possibly like a half of a cup, and I'm just gonna put, you know, it's alcohol. You gotta get a good little bit in there. So nigori sake, and then for seasonings, I've got this rice seasoning here that has some black sesame seeds, and we're just gonna put all of that in there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to just kind of move this around, give this tuna some love in this bowl. And I'll just tip it forward just a little bit so you can kind of see the tuna to liquid to sesame ratio here. So I'm gonna let that chill out for a bit, and then we're gonna get going on our miso vinaigrette. So while our tuna's hanging out, I'm gonna take this bowl. Now, miso paste is soybean paste. You can find it again in your local farmer's market, grocery store. A lot of your soups, your miso soups, of course, it's made with this paste right here. So we're gonna just take this concentrated paste, and I'm just gonna take a little bit using my whisk, and then we're gonna add a little bit of mirin, a little bit of that sake. I'm going to add some olive oil. All right. And then I'm just going to do an initial whisk to kind of get these 3 elements together. And as you can see, that miso starts to break down. And then we're going to start building a sauce here. So miso is pretty thick. As I whisk it, it does kind of break up, but it's still pretty thick as far as the vinaigrette goes. So I'm gonna add a little bit more olive oil. And we're gonna whisk that again. We're gonna just basically thin it out. All right. Now, when you're building levels of flavor, you wanna just make sure that those 3 elements actually work together. And if I need to make some adjustments, then I can go ahead and do that. So I'm just gonna take a quick taste here. And I'm like, okay, the miso is on the strong side. I'm gonna add a little bit more sake here. And we're gonna whisk again. And then what we're looking for is something that's very, what I consider to be drizzleable. You want to be able to drizzle this sauce on our salad. So I have a saucier spoon, and this is kind of what you're looking for. I'm gonna just go ahead for a taste one more time. I like it. So we're gonna set that to the side. So we've marinated our tuna, we've made our miso glaze situation, vinaigrette situation, and now we're just basically going to focus on cooking the actual tuna. So tuna doesn't take long. I'm gonna take one of my saute pans here, and we're gonna get our heat going. What you want is medium-high heat. I'm gonna add some olive oil. When you're searing things, olive oil is great. I use a lot of avocado oil because it holds high heat. Things like canola oil, corn oil, also great when it comes down to oil choices, but olive oil is the best you can get. So, and you can get it easily. So, stick with olive oil if you can get that. If you want to be creative and try some different things, you can try things like avocado oil. So I've got my tuna here, and it doesn't take long. We didn't marinate this long, obviously, and it doesn't take a lot to kind of get those flavors. And we're gonna build flavors into the salad as we go along. So I'm gonna take just a few more minutes and let this heat kind of get my oil to where I want it to be. Also, in the meantime, what I'm going to do is I have some yellow chive here. So yellow chive is definitely not an American thing. This is not something that you're going to be able to find everywhere. When I cook, I like to find as many interesting ingredients as I possibly can to show people there are different things out there that you can actually cook for. So this is chive. It tastes like chive, but it's yellow. So the thing about it for me is that I want chive flavor, but I want to just see what it looks like when I plate everything together. So yellow chive, it is what it is. So yellow chive is actually Korean, and you can find that at your local farmer's market as well. So while that heat is going, I'm going to chop some chive, and you'll see why shortly that I need this, because I'm going to add it to some other things here that make up our salad in just a second. All right. Good way to check your heat. Put your hand over it. If it's too hot, you may want to turn it down. To me, that is just a little extra toasty. And then we'll see in just a couple more seconds. What you can also do is a splash test. I got that sizzle. All right. Now, tuna, you want to cook to where it's at least medium, meaning it's kind of seared on the outside and still kind of pink on the inside. It depends on your tuna preference. Some people like their tuna well done. Some like it rare. But with a sushi grade, you can be comfortable in eating your tuna in any of those variances if you want to eat it rare or if you want it seared really well where it's pretty much done in the middle. We're going to go for mid-well here, and we're just going to add our tuna to our pan. I'm going to add a couple pieces. My oil is really hot, so turn that down a little bit more. So I immediately see it browning on one side. And then give it a few minutes on that side, and then you just basically flip it over. So let's do this. All right, so I'm just checking my sear. I like it. It's pretty brown. It works for me. This one could use a few more minutes on that side. So once we sear all these pieces, what we'll then do is we're going to serve this salad, not like bone cold as far as the tuna is concerned. So we're going to let this come to room temperature. We're going to slice it, and then we'll plate it together with the salad. I'm going to turn this bigger piece over. And then, since those are basically almost seared, I'm going to go ahead and add this last piece in. And then I am done with that. Cooking, is it a job? No, it's not a job. This is fun for me, and that's why I started doing it. Like, originally, I have a degree in corporate America, did that for a while, and I just realized that I was very, very, very unhappy. And this is like the early 2000s where people are like, oh, you gotta get a computer job. This is what you do to make money. This is what everybody's doing to make money. And that's what I did. But I found out I was the happiest when I was at home cooking and hanging out with my friends. So for me, it's fun. Like, there's work that goes into it. It's a lot of work. But for me, at the end of the day, when I'm executing an event and I'm actually there in the moment, it's fun for me. So while our tuna is searing, we'll talk about a couple of things that we're gonna do next that make up this dish. So we've got some Asian mushrooms. They're mini mushroom caps. that are wild. So again, you can use any type of mushrooms. Mushrooms are really earthy, and so when it comes down to actually putting them in a salad, it's my preference that I actually cook them down a little bit. You cook them down, you give them more flavor, and then again, we'll allow those to come to room temperature when we plate our salad. You don't want these to be super hot, but my preference in mushrooms is that you actually cook them in regards to eating them raw. Also here we have some lotus root. So if you're not familiar with this, this is I would say a very carby vegetable when it comes down to what this actually is and what it tastes like. I like these. When I found out about these, I thought initially that they looked really cool, but I was like, what does that taste like? But when you pan fry them, they basically come out like potato chips. They're very potatoey. So we're going to utilize this in our dish, in our salad, to not only give us some cool components of visual aspects of it, but then it'll also give us some crunch. I have this weird thing about wanting to be surprised about music, so I have like thousands of songs on my phone. I have an iPhone, and so it's just like I'll just turn on my playlist of just everything, like shuffle by song, and allow my phone to dictate what's happening. Now I skip a lot, and I'm like, oh, okay, and then I tend to hear things that I haven't heard in quite a while, right? There's a new wave of R&B women right now are really dope, like Ari Lennox. And there are a few others like her. Obviously they're more commercial, but there are some R&B women out there that are doing some really fly music that people don't even know about. So I try to find those things. I will get into my reggae soca situation when I'm in the kitchen because that's just natural for me. Hip hop wise, I'm from New York, so Jay-Z, Nas, things like that. Kendrick, I mean, just music like that is what kind of motivates me. Again, for me, it's kind of like I have to build this vibe. If I can't like really vibe out to what I'm doing, then the food doesn't come out right. Enjoying myself and enjoying what I'm doing while I'm doing it, and that love comes out in the food. All right, we're gonna turn this other tuna over. This one is done. So I'm gonna take this off, lay it on my cutting board. Done. And we'll just make sure that last piece is done. So once this last piece is done, we'll take this pan and then we'll add our mushrooms. And with that mushrooms, we're also going to add some chopped garlic and ginger. So we have our tuna seared. Again, we're gonna bring this tuna down to room temperature. So we're just gonna let these hang out. We're gonna take our same pan we cooked the tuna in. We don't really need to worry about cleaning this pan unless we've got issues with dietary restrictions, but that's not the case here. So I'm gonna go ahead and add my mushrooms. And then I'm gonna go ahead and add my ginger and my garlic. And I'm gonna let those saute down a bit. So what you'll definitely start to smell is the earthiness of the mushrooms, but also that ginger and that garlic. Those aromatics will start to come out as well. So mushrooms, ginger, garlic. We've got our seared tuna. I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of our yellow chives as well. And you don't want to cook these for too long. You just want to make sure that the mushrooms are tender and that you get a good saute on your garlic and your ginger, that they're still not raw, you know, and bitter to the taste. You just want to make sure that they're cooked down pretty well, but not overcook it in regards to don't burn your ginger and your garlic. You want them down sauteed enough to where those flavors are popping out with the oil, the ginger, the garlic, the yellow chive, and then your mushrooms as well. And just to kind of give you guys a good look about that, that's what that looks like. All right, these are good to go. I am going to put these in the holding vessel temporarily until we need them to plate our salad. Okay. All right, and in the same pan here, I'm gonna add a little corn oil. I'm gonna watch this fire here because we do need a little bit of oil to sustain this lotus root here. So we'll let that oil heat up just a bit. And while we're here, let's see. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to cut one of these and make sure it is what I want it to be on the inside. So let's start with the small one. With tuna, you definitely wanna go against, make sure you're cutting with the grain here. There is a flesh pattern here. And if you cut it the wrong way, it won't look right. So based off of what I'm seeing here, you can kind of cut it that way. And then in the middle is exactly what I'm looking for. So it's seared on the outside and kind of medium on the inside. And again, it's a sushi grade tuna, so it'll be perfectly okay to eat. So we're just gonna cut some pieces there. I'm gonna cut some pieces here. Okay, let's give it a taste. Okay, so definitely that mirin comes through for sure. All right, we'll let our tuna hang out. And then we'll test our oil here. Looks pretty good. I've got some sizzle. Make sure our oil is good. So lotus root fries up pretty quickly, but like I said, once it does fry up, what you'll get from it is a very potato chip effect once it's fried. Now people do eat it raw. I don't really enjoy it raw. For me, you wouldn't eat potato raw, so I don't suspect that we would do that with lotus root, but it definitely is a good snack just to kind of slice up, fry up, and kind of eat like potato chips. I'm a little avant-garde, which means I like to try new things. I like modernist takes on things. I'm not overly, gastro-ish when it comes to doing the crazy things that you might see, but I like to be a little different, but also I want to relate to the people that I'm feeding, right? So at the end of the day, I want you to be curious about what I'm giving you, and I want you to be able to try it. But I want you to be like, oh, there's cucumber there. Okay, I relate to that. I know what that is. That's a tomato. Okay, I'm willing to try that. Because a lot of people aren't willing to try. When you go too far, it's like, what is this? Is it even edible? A lot of chefs make stuff and it looks great, but it doesn't taste good. And I feel like I'm just somewhere in the middle of that, where I want to do different things and try new things with my food, but I want it to look good and I want it to taste good. And then, when you actually taste it, you can kind of put all those pieces together like, wow, this is something that I've never had before. You just blew my mind with this. Now I know what this tastes like. And so moving forward in the future, I might try this again. That's kind of like my chef mission in life, is be different, but also I feel like I'm the chef for the average everyday home cook who's at home wanting to try new things. I get a lot of questions on Instagram and in my email how do I get out of this box? I'm eating too much of this, I'm eating too much of that. What do you suggest for me to try something different? And that's kind of like how my mind works anyway. So, I tend to share that knowledge as a chef to say, okay, well, try this spice or this sauce and try to do different things. There's so many ways you can cook chicken, So it's just sharing that knowledge and allowing people to see that things can be done differently is kind of like how I operate. So what I've done already is kind of made some mini lettuce circles. I don't really know what to call these, but I do this a lot when I want to plate up a really sexy salad. So what I've taken is Bibb lettuce leaves, and they're really big. So what you can do is you basically take a cutting board, take a cookie cutter, and then you can cut out these really cute lettuce circles. So what we'll do when we plate is we'll take a couple of these together with the tuna and these other ingredients, and we'll plate up the salad. So I'm just kind of keeping these kind of moist here with this paper towel here. In this bowl, I've already also cut up some baby cucumbers. There's some lump crab in here and some shallot. So this has been sitting here and marinating this whole time. Also Asian flavors in regard to what's in here. We have a little bit of that sake, a little bit of the mirin, and then I put a little bit of soy in here. So salty, sweet flavors is what we're going for. And so these are raw vegetables just marinated, and that's what we want. And so with the tuna and these cooked vegetables, we will definitely assemble a, you know, warm, friendly, nourishing salad that definitely is signature of Asian profiles. All right, so my lotus root is done. I'm gonna take those out. It's funny because they even smell like potatoes. All right, good to go on my heat. So now what we want to do is we want to kind of get everything together. Before we actually plate, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this is some actual green seaweed, and in this mortar and petza, we're going to take some olive oil. And what I'm looking for is basically just kind of creating an oil out of this that we can also drizzle over our salad. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to grind. So again, this is green seaweed flakes, and I am just kind of grinding this down, making a paste, but then adding more oil to actually make it a green in color oil. So this dish will definitely not only have color, it'll also have the flavor from the seaweed as well, from a sauce aspect. And then what you're looking for is kind of like this. So I'm gonna add a little bit of more oil that I have. And now we can go ahead and do this. All right, so this is a dish that you would have as like a starter or an appetizer. You could make this a very hefty, large entree meal if you wanted to, but you know, this is something that you would make in addition to a main entree dish that you would have. So like a starter salad if you're doing something at home and wanting to pull this together as a part of your meal. So we're gonna start with the salad leaves first. I'm just going to arrange these in a very cute way down the middle here, and I'm gonna plate 2 at a time, see how I feel about those. All right, so then from there, what we want to do is let's go ahead and put some of our tuna down. So when you're plating stuff, it's all about, you know, how things look together. White space, negative space, space that you're using, not using. And you just want to make sure it makes sense, you know. So I'm plating this down the middle of this plate. That's what makes sense to me. And then we're going to add a couple other things. So I'm going to take a little bit of my vegetable, and I'm going to put some here. So this is our mushrooms, garlic, and ginger, plated like so. All right, I'm going to also plate some tomatoes. It's all about precision and making sure, again, that it makes sense. Over here, I'm going to take some of my cucumbers and our crab situation. Okay. All right, from there, we're going to do a couple other things. So I have some seaweed salad. Again, something else that you can quickly find in your Asian section of your farmer's market. It's just pickled seaweed. It does great when it comes down to color and texture. So I'm just going to put a couple pieces here down the center. All right, let's see. Let's go ahead and drizzle. All right, so flying fish roe, it's not quite caviar, but it's still fish eggs. So you can also find this in your farmer's market section, basically in the seafood area. I love using flying fish roe because it's cheap. And it allows people that haven't ever experienced caviar before kind of be introduced to it because it's like similar mouthfeel, but you're not spending thousands of dollars to get that mouthfeel to then decide that you don't like it. But then they come in so many different colors. I really like this jet black version that you can find. And so we're just going to top this salad with a little bit of this. I'm just taking my tweezers and kind of just knocking it in there like that. Awesome. All right. Now that that's done, I know you're like, there's so many elements to the salad. Yes, there is. Two more things. All right, so this is dried tuna. So dried tuna flakes, again, is another Asian thing. You'll see it in a lot of cuisine. When you see it, you'll understand because it kind of has like this flyy, breezy look to it. Sometimes you're like, oh, is my food moving? No, it's just these flakes kind of moving around from the air and also from the moisture from the food on the plate. Korean watercress, just for some greenery. So we'll add a little bit in here. All right, and then last but not least, we're just gonna kind of top this with our lotus root. Right here in the middle. All right, so tuna tataki salad, ready to taste.
OMG, you have it smelling so good in here.
Thank you.
But I noticed that you were using something that I've never seen flipping while you were frying.
Yes.
What is that?
So these are simply just chef tongs. You know, when you think tongs or tweezers, you think of the larger versions of them, but they basically have them in this size where it helps you do very intricate things, like placing this flying fish roe on here. So it's very useful when you're plating microgreens, things that you don't really want to touch, but you know, so very useful tool in the kitchen for sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. So now I see this beautiful plate. Is it ready for me to taste?
It is ready.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. I'm gonna get a little, oh, I'm using my fingers,
Yeah,
sorry.
that's perfect size. So the idea of this salad for sure is, you know, the way things are plated, they're kind of like in different areas, but you definitely want to get in there eventually and kind of mix up those vegetables
right.
and tuna and the lettuces and kind of chop that up and kind of eat it like a chef salad.
Well, that dressing is, do you call it a dressing?
You call it dressing.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, between dressing, vinaigrette. So again, miso comes in this paste and you kind of have to thin it out.
Right.
It's definitely thinned out with broth when it comes down to soups, but I like to use it in the sauces a lot.
Well, this is delicious, but just don't take my word for it. We're gonna bring some crew members in so they can taste it as well.
What's next for Chef India? So for me, what's next is a lot of things, actually. This is a very active year for me. I just posted on Instagram the other day that I feel like I've been doing this for a really long time, and I'm just now starting to get the recognition and the opportunities that I deserve. A lot of chefs don't realize how much hard work it takes to not only get the business in itself to make the money, but you gotta market and promote yourself. You gotta be the face of your own chef brand, and then you have to stand behind the quality of the food that you produce. So for me, I've been working very hard to be that chef, to say that every time I taste Chef India's food, it is amazing. And I have people like, every time, you never fail. Like, sometimes my husband tells me that I sold my soul to the devil, because he said he cannot believe that every time he tastes something is that good. And I'm really humble. I'm just like, I like good food. I want to serve people good food. But at the end of the day, there are a couple things that I am moving forward to. One, I'm starting a sauce line. I'm launching a sauce line called Sauce Queen. So Sauce Queen, we are in the production of 3 products right now, where we're getting the FDA approval, getting the nutrition labels, and then I'll be able to mass produce those 3 products early spring. And then we've already been talking to a couple people who want placement of that product. So that is happening really fast, and it's really exciting because for me, at my age and doing what I do, I love doing what I do, but I want to take my career to the next level where I'm working smarter, making the money that I want to make, but not having to work as hard. Like, I feel like I shouldn't have to cater every week, every weekend to make the money. I need to do something that I truly enjoy, that's still culinary, that kind of is making money for me. There's something about boutique hotels that I love. When I travel, I tend to stay in boutique hotels, and I don't really feel like we have boutique hotels for our culture here. So I would like to look into possibly opening something that would be very Atlanta. You know, when you come and travel here and you stay at this hotel, you get the best representation of Atlanta possible. Future, I just want to travel and eat food. Like, that's all I want to do, and get paid to do it. So yeah, that's my goal.
So this concludes another session of Chef Conversations with Chef India.
Yep.
Here in the Slick Greedy Kitchen. Good food, good people, good times.